You are now listening to the most electrified and vilified podcast on the net, Hot Topics Podcast. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Hot Topics Podcast. This is your host, Psycho 4881, and I'm with
Lamb Chop,
and Felonious Feather is out today, and we have our special guest, Ronda. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Hey there, my name is Ronda. I'm the lead of Tata Tuesdays, a safe space for all women going through the breast cancer process.
Outstanding.
I love that name.
I picked up on that real quick.
Of course you did.
So, just real quick about your organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I was diagnosed with breast cancer I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2022. Okay. The day after my double mastectomy on March the 10th, 2023, I started Tata Tuesdays. Originally, it began as a vlog. I wanted women to know what to expect of a mastectomy in the breast cancer process. Up to that point, not knowing that after the surgery, I found out that I had breast cancer in my lymph nodes. So it then went on to include what to expect of chemo treatment. So it's gotten grown way larger than what I ever expected. It's gone from a vlog to a community. After I started the page, people started flocking to me saying, I have it too. Breast cancer right now is an epidemic. 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. And that number increases if you're Black. Wow. So I do a lot of education, a lot of community events. Last Sunday was our Breast Friends Ball where we celebrate survivorship. Like I said, Tata Tuesdays is a safe space for all hers. So if you're a survive her, worry her, grieve her, caregive her, support her, whatever her you are or prevent her, we have a space for you.
Okay.
That's fabulous.
Sounds good. So this is a multi-part episode. Okay. So in this one, we're going to talk about your personal experiences, how you came to where you are today, and then some of the other episodes we'll actually talk about more the actual disease. And
okay.
So this is October, obviously, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. So in the other episode we'll talk about where that came from, when that started, what's it about, and just give people more awareness. And we're doing a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness or research with Susan G. Komen Foundation. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. So did you want to say anything? Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your work. I'm absolutely going to jump on immediately and find out more about your organization and your blog. So thank you so much for all the work that you do, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your process. What was it like that day they said, yes, this is breast cancer?
It's devastating, and my process is a bit different. Prior to this, I was the credit queen, or I am the credit queen. I've been in business since 2008 in Baltimore. I live in Miami now. I moved in 2016. I say that because as a self-employed person with no kids, when Obamacare became a thing, it bumped me out of health insurance. So I went from paying maybe $75, $100 a month to when Obamacare was instated, my bill went to like $400 or $500 a month.
Wow.
So I then had to quickly start negotiating cash arrangements with my doctors. Before I moved, it was one thing. When I moved here, I had to do the same thing. So I found my lump myself in the shower. I went to the doctors. It was my 40th year. I had a big party in January 2022. This was my first mammogram. I had just turned 40. And I went to the doctors. They gave me a referral to go to an imaging center. I went to the imaging center. I paid for all of my tests and stuff out of pocket.
Ouch.
So my process is completely different because, if you're employed and you already have health insurance, your primary doctor is telling you where to go. I am literally filling this out every step of the way. So I went to the imaging center, got that done. I think I had to go back because they were really concerned about what they saw. In the midst of all of that, my aunt and my grandmother died, so it delayed my testing. I was in Baltimore then for like 45 days. Came back, paid for some more tests, got my biopsy done, and then on November the 10th is when they told me that it was breast cancer. But all of this is just coming to me in the mail. You know what I mean? Like I don't have anyone that's explaining it to me. So one of my girlfriends is not an RN, but whatever is above, a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And I said, read this, tell me what does it say? And she said, okay, you got stage 0 breast cancer. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So from there, I started Googling medical surgeons, oncologist surgeons that could help me with my process.
Right.
Out of the 5 I called, 1 called back. I was able to get on his calendar, and then we just started moving very fast from there.
So let me go over that number again, just to make sure I heard clearly. You said the health insurance that you was paying for was $450 a month?
No, that's why I stopped paying for health insurance.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think whenever Obamacare was instated, and this had to be like back in 12 or 13, I just could not afford to pay $500 a month for something that may not, I wasn't sick. I wasn't a sick person.
Right.
So I
Okay.
started negotiating cash pay. And if you ever, I tell women this now for all of their insurance companies that try to deny them for specific claims or doctors they need to see, offer them cash. It's way cheaper than what they bill insurance at anyway.
Right.
That I did not know.
Yeah, you can definitely negotiate.
Okay.
But again, a lot of people don't know that. And you had the wherewithal to keep pushing forward. You know, you had someone in your life that could help talk to you about that. There are a lot of women out there that don't have that. And it frightens me. You know, it's like, I don't have insurance now. What am I supposed to do?
So government insurance, I mean, like regular, let's say, medical assistance, or
some people don't. She wouldn't qualify for medical assistance.
Well, not at
because
the
of-
time.
okay.
Yeah, because I was a high income earner, so I wouldn't qualify for medical assistance, and I wouldn't even recommend that people do medical assistance during this process. I have a policy that's very similar to medical assistance as far as price point. Right now, I'm only paying about $30 a month for health insurance, but it's still better than what medical assistance offers.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And what is that called?
I'm in Florida. The name of my policy is And Better. In my process, though, when I knew that we were leaning towards breast cancer, my insurance broker had me signed up with United Healthcare.
Okay.
United Healthcare denied every claim because I had already self-paid the majority of the testing.
Wow.
So had I stayed there, absolutely nothing would have been covered. But my broker was able to find me another company that I could get into in January, February, I believe, because at this point I already had a relationship with my doctors. So I didn't want to lose the doctors, and I needed insurance. So that's how I got with I Am Better in Florida.
Okay. So
It's a lot of things that you don't consider in the breast cancer process. That's why my community exists. Most people don't know this stuff. This is like behind the scenes.
Right.
Most people don't know about all the insurance and financial struggles that you go through.
And it is some struggle.
So in your on your website or your page, they that's an information sharing thing.
So Tata Tuesdays, on Tuesdays, we were in the habit of allowing women to tell their own breast cancer stories. I did this for 2 reasons. Number one, to expand the community. More importantly, so that women would know what to advocate for and how to advocate for themselves. I'll give you an example. Until you learn about the whole process, you don't know that you have the ability to get whatever you want. So if I go in and even at stage 0 or stage 1 breast cancer, I'm telling my doctor that I want a double mastectomy. And my doctor is telling me, well, no, they would prefer to do a lumpectomy. I wouldn't know if it wasn't for the stories of my other breast friends that I could fight for that.
Right.
So on Tuesdays, we were in the habit of information sharing. Now it's gotten way bigger than that, but we share all types of information and do all types of advocacy work so that you know what you're fighting for. You know what your expectations are.
Okay. Well, that seemed like a struggle.
It is a struggle. It's a lot of information quickly, and you have to decipher, like she said, and then you have to decide what you want for you.
Mhm.
and how to go about advocating that. So it is a lot,
Hmm.
a
It's
lot.
overwhelming. Breast cancer,
Hmm.
the idea of breast cancer is a lot. Breast cancer is one of the most aggressive cancers to treat. It's one of the most sneakiest cancers. You can be clear for 10 years and it come right back.
Yep.
It is all cancers are cellular, but it's something extra sneaky about breast cancer.
So when you first learned it, how did you cope? Like emotionally, or how did you go about that?
I think a year before my girlfriend Tawanda had passed away from
Oh,
breast cancer.
okay.
I was I would say I was effectively depressed. So I'm not a person that gets all sad and doesn't function. I get sad and hyper function. So
Mm.
I do a lot of things at one time because my brain doesn't show off once I realize that there's a problem. And so originally I was like, all right, well, I got breast cancer. I'm gonna take all my money and move to Turks and Caicos and I'll just die on the beach. And unfortunately, when you learn more about cancer or your body, you can't will yourself to death. I'm not a Bible character. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey,
Right,
Jesus,
right.
doesn't work like that. And so, what you learn is that if you do choose the no treatment route, if you choose to just make peace with the disease that you have, you're also choosing for every pain that comes along with that. Because
Mm.
breast cancer, for you to be metastatic, it means that your breast cancer escaped your breast and went to another part of your body.
Right.
That means I would have to wait for the breast cancer to take over every organ in my body. No.
Yeah.
So then I
Okay.
had to decide, okay, I'm going to fight because me peacefully dying on the beach wasn't going to be an option. This was going to be gory and dramatic.
Right.
Mm.
So that's when I decided that I had to. Well, even in the process, remember, I was diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer. It wasn't until I woke up on the table that and had the additional test done that I was in a stage 3.
Oh wow. So can you
So,
explain
mhm.
zero to, I think it's 0 to 4? Is it?
Well, it can go to, it's technically 0 to 5,
Okay.
usually a 5 breathe, but um, the staging represents the size and placement of your breast cancer. So I was a stage 0 because it was in my milk ducts. If you're a
Mm.
Black woman, your breast cancer goes for the gusto. Our cancer moves faster, it's more aggressive, and it kills more women. More Black women die of breast cancer than any other race type.
Hmm.
So in a few months, my breast cancer went from a 0 to a 3.
Wow.
Later, it was scaled back down to a 2B because of placement and size. But technically, I'm a 3 because it reached my lymph node.
Okay. Okay.
So you detected yours early.
But listen, all of that's a fluke. Now, that's where we talk about God. God gave me some type of cyst or lump in my breast. That whole lump was not breast cancer.
Hmm.
I only had
Mm.
like 5 millimeters or 1 centimeter breast. I would have never felt it.
Oh wow.
God gave me a lump that allowed me to feel something was wrong with me to get into the doctors quickly. Had I not had that, and a lot of women don't, that's why you have to stay on top of your mammograms. Like, don't play around with that.
Yep.
Hmm.
But had I not felt it, by the time I discovered it, I probably would have been stage 4.
Wow.
Mm. Ooh.
So now we're talking about the emotional
Oh yeah.
part of it,
Yeah.
and you went through treatment, obviously. So there's an emotional part and a physical part. What did you have any practices or alternative therapies that helped you manage that?
Um, well, can I talk about what the treatment looks like?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, so coming off the table, completely flat, no breasts. It kind of excited, like, okay, whew, we escaped the big one. And then I got
Mm.
called a week later from pathology saying, no, 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 it's in your lymph nodes. Now you have to go to chemo. My mom the whole time was saying, Ronda, God is giving this to you. You don't even know what he's doing. He's giving this to you. This is for you because he needs you to experience the whole process. So when you go and you continue to talk to these women, they will they'll know you're being used. Just trust the process. I mean, don't nobody want to hear that, but
Right.
it was
Right.
it was true. I I went to meet with my surgical oncologist. Now remember, all of these people aren't connected because I am handpicking people as I go. I
Mm.
started by handpicking my surgical oncologist who was not affiliated with my medical oncologist. but he recommended her, but they're not like in the same medical team or system. So I go, and my services happen at Memorial West Hospital, I think, out here in Florida. And she was like, you have a really aggressive breast cancer, and we want to treat it aggressively. I'm like, oh, okay. So the cycle of chemo, the first 4 rounds was something called the Red Devil. And I guess from a pharmacy standpoint, it's called adriamycin Cytoxan. It is a chemo treatment that comes to you red. It is so powerful that if you don't have a port installed in your chest, they can't give it to you through your veins.
So that's a liquid chemical that they give
It's a
you.
liquid IV. Every chemo cycle that you have is created for you. Chemo does not sit on a shelf. Chemo is custom made based off of your blood test within 24 hours. And so they bring it to you. They give you all of these pre-meds. And the pre-meds really help you a lot with sustainability, at least for the first, I'd say 10 hours. But when you go home, no. I mean, I couldn't eat. I did not eat for 60 days. My blood count would not come back up. So my chemo cycles that were supposed to be every 2 weeks ended up being every 3 to 4 weeks. They give you an after recovery shot to bring your blood count back up to where it's supposed to be. Mine never worked. So I ended up having to give myself injections in my stomach for 5 days after chemo every time, 5 to 7. Chemo kills every good and bad thing. Right. So my girls who've had this specific drug, they've lost, we don't lose just our hair, we lose our fingernails. We develop thrush. I couldn't swallow. It's a really, I don't want to get too graphic, but it's really a bad cycle. So when you asked, did you do anything like holistic? I'm assuming was your question. Yes and no, but not right then, because I couldn't stomach anything. Right. I literally drank water, ate popsicles for 60 days. Coming out of that, in my next cycles, which was Taxol, which lasted about 12 weeks. I think I did 8. That's when everything for me started turning back around. My hair started growing back. My appetite was better. My mouth didn't hurt. I could walk.
When you say cycles, what do you mean by cycles?
Your chemo is given to you in cycles or sets. So with adriamycin Cytoxan, they're not going to give you more than 4 of those. That drug is so strong that it can cause cancer. Oh. So you're not going to get more than 4 of those cycles. Then Taxol is typically administered in 4, 8, or 12. I opted for 8. Everything in your process you pick. I denied radiation. Okay. I denied radiation because my surgical oncologist told me I didn't need it, and that some doctors overtreat just based off of what your status says, but not going into the details. And you can't radiate in the same place twice. So God forbid breast cancer came back in my chest, I would still have the option to radiate.
Okay. Wow. So in your, I guess your, I don't know what the word I'm going to use, but your journey, like say your journey, would you say the one of your biggest challenges, and I'm just listening to your story, was you had to basically a la carte all of these different doctors, and I guess do research, and that's kind of like a job in itself.
It's kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. Was that?
I wouldn't. That was definitely a challenge. I think the biggest challenge is being thrown into a fight, not knowing who you're fighting, and your hands are tied behind your back and you're a little bit blindfolded. Like you're literally having something whoop your ass and you don't even know why, or what you did to deserve it, or why your body turned on you. That is really what you're processing. And then the fact that compounds that is that most of the people that you've known that have had breast cancer have died. So then it makes you feel like, what am I fighting for? Am I supposed to be doing this? You know what I mean? So that's just one layer. It's at the Breast Friends Ball this year, our theme was equipped, how to manage your leaves, because breast cancer impacts you emotionally, physically, socially, medically, psychologically, romantically. Like it's not just the what you see in front of you, it's everything else that's playing through your mind about why you're even fighting so hard about something you can't see. And breast cancer doesn't hurt. The treatment hurts.
Right.
You like a stage 4 for breast cancer to hurt. In a 0, you don't feel that. And now you're putting yourself through all of this physical turmoil and literally losing everything.
You mentioned your friends. How many people do you know or have known that went through the same thing, that actually like survived or didn't survive?
Let's say it again. How many friends do I have that didn't survive?
Yeah, that you said you saw a lot of your friends or associates, whatever, that had breast cancer that didn't survive.
I wouldn't. Let me rephrase this. Back in the day, I know that the breast cancer number couldn't have possibly have been 1 in 8 because I would know a friend of a friend of a friend who passed away of breast cancer.
Right.
It was not, especially in this age group. That's not what we're experiencing now. So it's not that I had a lot of friends that died of breast cancer. It's just like these little short stories that I knew about breast cancer all ended in death. Now in the community, what we focus on is changing the look of breast cancer so everybody's living. And I've got about 5,000 breast friends on my Instagram who we focus every day on living. So we're changing the narrative. It's so many more women. I've got girls who grew up with girls that have breast cancer. Their best friends are now their breast friends. It is a crazy epidemic that doesn't make sense to me.
Wow. So we're going to talk about support system. And I know you mentioned your family and friends. Who was your biggest supporter? Who were your biggest supporters during your journey?
Who are? Maybe they still
who are. Yeah. Okay.
So one of the reasons also that I created the community is because I was having a difficult time communicating with my friends.
Okay.
People who love you naturally want to help you, but some of the stuff that they may do or say could become offensive in a time like this. So if I say I have breast cancer, I really don't want you to go to the internet and Dr. Sebi me to death because some information that you're giving me is going to contradict with what my doctor is saying. And now I'm in the land of confusion.
Right.
I don't want you, and I'm actually hosting a seminar next year on how to tell your story. I don't want you to assume that in my fear that I'm lost in my decisions. And I don't want you to say things to me like, oh, they're only trying to make money off of you because nobody makes more money than the insurance company. Nobody. So my doctors who really have my best interest at heart, I need you to help me fortify that relationship in my mind.
Okay.
During treatment, during the Red Devil, I did not want to talk to anybody. I did not talk to my mom. Started a group chat of my friends down here and she would keep them updated. The few times that I did communicate with them, one of them would say something that offended me and I'd be like, I'm out again, Ma. You can tell them this. And it wasn't intentional. My friends love me. But for example, I was taking the tape off of my boobs and I was showing them a video of what it looked like. And one of my girlfriends said, oh, I don't think you're supposed to do that. I think, okay, wait a minute. Which one of us got breast cancer? Okay. I think,
and which one of us has an MD behind their name?
Right, exactly. Like, don't do that because I'm already in a season in a mind frame of I don't know what's going on. I don't need you to tell me that what I'm doing for me can hurt me any more than what I'm already hurt. So Breast Friends Unite is the social club of Tata Tuesdays. The portion that I love is that all of my breast friends speak the same language. Even when we're not speaking, I can look at you and know that your bones hurt today. I know. I know that you're not feeling good. I went through that before. In Breast Friends, what we do is we pair you with your breast friend. So I got my VP, her breast cancer just came back. She just started her chemo again. She just had a port installed. I got a young girl in Baltimore in her 30s who's going to have her port installed next week. Those two are paired together right now. Which switches and she goes into her Red Devil treatment. All of us have already done it, but I'm going to find another breast friend that just did it. Because these will be your light workers. These will be the people that will keep telling you, all right, this is what you're going to do next. Because the doctors don't know. They never did this shit before. They never did it. They can tell you what they've heard, but most of the doctors use words like highly tolerated, and you'd be dead on the street. Like, it's not highly tolerated for me.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what we do. That's the partnering and the pairing. So to answer your question, my support system primarily was my mom and my guy at the time during the worst of it. I allowed people to come into my space as I started feeling better. But anyone that's on that specific regimen of the Red Devil, you'll notice that they close themselves in. They don't want to talk to you because that's probably the closest to death you're ever going to feel.
So I would imagine during that time, would you have a feeling of loneliness during that time?
I mean, it depends. I remember I don't know about loneliness because you have so many, it's so many tangible things to see that people really care about you.
Right.
You definitely walking with God. And I mean, I was walking with him. I was praying, but then I was very angry, like because my days of sickness weren't lessening. So I would have chemo, let's say on Wednesday, and I thought I had got it down to a science where by Saturday I'd be fine. And then this particular time, I think it was a Sunday night or Monday morning, and I was screaming, "God, I'm sick!"
Right.
I mean, because oh, I could cry. It's so painful, like the stuff that your body goes through. Mm-mm.
So in during that time, with your friends and your family and stuff like that, in your perception, did it seem like it changed for the worse or changed for the better?
I
Just in your
think,
perception.
wait a minute. I need a minute. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Would now be a good time to take a commercial break?
Okay. Okay. My mom flew in for every chemo. That's 16 flights minimum.
Oh,
She
Wow.
flew in for every surgery. So let's say my mom flew in 25 times.
mm.
And that's less than a year
That's
of stuff.
from Baltimore to Miami.
Miami.
Yep. Baltimore to Fort Lauderdale at the time.
Okay.
No, I never felt alone in the process as a result of like people not being there. People were always there. I put up my Amazon gift list and it was done in like a day. No, people have always supported me. I'm an extremely transparent person. So because I don't, I'm letting them know like this is what I need and this is what they do. And even for things I didn't ask for, people were still showing up. When I realized I could drink root beer, I mean, my friends sent me like 20 cases because it was like, drink, and then I couldn't drink it anymore. Like it's such a crazy, it's a really crazy time or thing to experience. But I never felt alone in that way. I did feel like, okay, this probably is dying, and I've never felt this feeling before. So I felt really, really close to the edge, but I never felt alone.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
great.
And all right, so throughout your journey, I know you went through a lot of different things. Which coping strategies did you find most helpful during your treatment?
I'm high functioning, so the entire treatment, I build an organization.
Ah, okay. So you went to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you see is pictures of me with my laptop. People, it's so dope though, because I started creating newsletters and flyers. So then when other women, Black women especially, would see me in the waiting room, they would run up and be like, "You're Tata Tuesdays. Hey, breast friend. Hey, breast friend, how you doing?" Or I would walk through with my little IV pole and check on people before my pre-med, while my pre-meds were working, see how they were doing. I was able to create real relationships with women I'm gonna know forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was that for like? Did you find that as a way of distraction at first, or was it just you got really, really motivated to
Nothing
get in
about
there?
this is me. Anything that happened from March the 9th on is God. Anything. I didn't
Okay.
create this. This is not my program. I am the credit queen, Ronda. God has me doing this business. This is not me. So I was interviewed the other day and they said, how do you think women experience? I don't even know because I work for God. So I create things and it sounds so crazy, but I said I was going to get in the habit of saying that. These ideas, these downloads that I receive about the things that I'm supposed to be doing, they're not mine.
Mm.
Okay. From a higher power,
Yeah.
you're calling. Okay.
That's amazing.
So you're the credit queen. So obviously you have that thing about you that you just like helping people as well.
Right.
So that's probably I guess
That all ties in.
it ties in. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I have a helper spirit. I'm a servant leader.
so has your perspective on health and wellness changed since your diagnosis?
I mean, in the beginning, when you're first diagnosed, you are going through this whole litany of what happened to me. You know what it was,
Right.
especially now because back in the day, the word about breast cancer was that it was women primarily over 50,
Yeah.
and with a family history. When you are diagnosed, they automatically give you a genetic test, and I didn't have a family history of breast cancer. There was no gene activated in me that would have said that I was supposed to have breast cancer. So in the beginning, you change your diet. You don't eat this, you don't eat that. And then when you come out of chemo, for me, I picked out on everything because I hadn't eaten in 2 months.
Right.
Right.
So I ate a lot. I'm working this pescatarian thing. I'm trying to just eat as much vegetables and fruit as possible. But
Does that include fish or no?
I mean, I'm really just trying to stick to the vegetables, but even then it's difficult depending upon whether or not there are any pesticides and,
Right.
like
Right.
you just don't
Right.
know how your food.
Did we lose her?
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, you have to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So you were saying it depends on how the food is prepared. It's really hard to tell.
It's hard to, I mean, just because we're dealing, the United States, um,
We had a whole episode on is our food killing us?
Yes.
I mean, it's the food, it's the shampoos and conditioners,
Yes.
it's everything that they allow to slide through because the cost is beneficial.
Right.
And where we are now, I mean, so back with my financial hat, the other day we were preparing for this storm that never happened.
Right.
And immediately my heart broke for the people that took their last to evacuate from something that never even occurred,
Yeah.
that now won't be able to pay their rent on the first.
Oh,
The United States
did they
becomes
order?
so capital.
Did they order evacuation in the Miami area?
No, people evacuated to the Miami area.
to-
Our
okay.
hotels is
Right.
expensive.
Right.
So if you took a flight anywhere, if you drove down here to rent a hotel
Right.
or an Airbnb, that literally could represent your last. If you stood in traffic for 10 hours to get here, if you paid extra for gas, if you paid extra for food. I'm saying all of this because our society is so capitalistic
Yes.
that
Right.
things that shouldn't occur, and that spills over to food as well. So if we're in a society where our funds are already limited, the other day ground beef was $20 for 2 pounds at the grocery store.
Yikes.
If that's where we at, and that's a regular grocery store, and I want to buy high quality fruits and vegetables that I know haven't been touched by pesticides from a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or something like that, how?
Right.
How can you do it? How? You can't even afford to regular live or evacuate. I can't
Right.
afford to buy top of line food. So I don't know. I mean, I know it's definitely in the food. I don't want to stir any pots, but most of us believe it has something to do with the COVID shot. But that's just where we at.
Yeah, they just
So-
have a article just came out that 3 markets are being, I guess they admitted, or they got caught overcharging people.
Yeah, they're price gouging.
Yeah.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
It's like things like 6 corporations that own like 90 some odd % of all the products you get in the supermarket, so they can jack up the prices and you'll
and do
never
what they
know.
want. Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is I guess it's not off topic. It's really on topic. Did you run down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, everything in the world is toxic, and now what am I going to do?
Yes. And I think it's natural for anyone that's in this position that does not have a family history of breast cancer.
Right.
But I stopped at COVID.
Okay.
That's where I got off the train. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. Gotta be, because it's too many of us. It's too many. The fact that they can even predict that there are going to be 2 million cancer diagnoses in this year alone, how would you know? It would have to be based off of some type of number or research that you have access to. Did you give 2 million people the COVID shot? Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
So from the beginning till now, what lifestyle changes have you made, or did you even find it necessary to make any lifestyle changes?
My lifestyle changes. Yeah, I've definitely been drinking more water. A lot of that has to do though with my after treatment. I'm on pills now for at least 10 years. One of them causes dry kidneys. So you can come out of breast cancer. You can go in with really like no pre-existing medical conditions and come out with
With a
tons.
lot, yeah.
But so I drink a lot more water. I do a lot more like walks and exercises than I did before.
Okay.
And I try to, for me specifically, because I get dumped on with other people's problems every day. I try my best to like take baths and just relax because I have been known to internalize the problems of my breast friends. I take on everybody's everything, and I'm the sponge. I'm the one that goes to the workshops, the seminars to learn more about your breast cancer too.
Right.
So in terms of your emotions, you not only had to deal with yours, but you're listening to everybody else's, which probably could impact yours as well.
Absolutely.
Servant leader. Yes.
And some of those emotions could be, now I always say, I mentioned loneliness because when you mentioned how you wanted to close people off, you didn't want the questions, but what are some of the other emotions that typically run through your your head dealing with yours and other people's?
Probably all of the emotions.
I mean, I'm going to meet you where you are. And I think that that's also important when it comes to communicating. So I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to answer it this way. I created a game called Boobs and Bingo. It's patented. It's on sale on Amazon and Etsy. And what it does is it allows women, it helps you explain your breast cancer process to your friends and family, and it gives them all the same dialogue that you have now, all these new vocabulary words. When it comes to communication, you just find yourself not wanting to communicate, but then getting extremely excited when there's someone that you can communicate with that knows what you're talking about. So I didn't do a lot of talking, but that was just by choice. It wasn't that my friends and family didn't want to talk to me. I didn't want to talk to them. They didn't know what I was talking about. You know what I mean? I'm giving them all these new words. They're like, what? So yeah, they didn't know.
Wow.
And like you said, a lot of times they have questions that you're just like, you look at people like, are you an idiot? Why are you asking me this?
I mean, it could be something simple like, hey, let's say that I'm having a great day and you call me with your sad energy. Hey, hi, how you doing? I'm fine, girl. How you? Let's go. What's up? How you feeling today? I'm feeling good. Like you have to constantly do these energy checks. With breast friends, it's not really like that. They already know.
Okay. That's good.
So I'm thinking, all right, you would have the fear, obviously, anger,
anxiety,
yeah. You could be overwhelmed.
Oh,
with
absolutely.
love too, like when you get that that feeling, and and I'm sure there's some parts of that you would feel some disappointment, either.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
All
of
them, yes. And you also feel like there are people that you just knew were going to step up for you, and they didn't.
Okay.
And then you have to, in your head, like, well, maybe they just can't handle it, and you have to give them a pass. But then there are days it's like, you know what? You were pissing me off. Like, I was there for you 110% of the time, and I just need somebody to do my laundry, and I can't get a call.
All right. So that's where the disappointment comes in.
Yep.
But now that isn't my story, but that is some of the stories of the girls in the group, also why the group exists. But some women don't talk about their breast cancer. It makes them feel ashamed. So part of the reason the page exists is so that those women can feel free to come into my DM, tell me what they need, ask me advice. Did I experience this? But on their page, and in real life, they haven't shared with anyone what's going on with them.
Yeah.
So they can't get the support. Later on, they will resent that someone didn't help them, but they have to consider they didn't ask. So they
gotcha.
They just don't talk about breast cancer.
So you created your own therapy and support group. Did you get any professional help as well?
I mean, I've been in therapy because it's a big diagnosis. To go from a 0 to a 3 is crazy. Knowing that breast cancer got in your lymph node, which increases your chances of recurrence. Crazy. Yeah. So I've been in therapy, but most of the time I'm high functioning and I work, and I'm able to produce a lot of stuff that works for me too. Right. Therapeutic for me.
So do you have any like typical days that you can say, I just don't want to deal with anybody. I'm not feeling up to it. I just want to be left alone. My energy is low. Any days like that? Like you have highs and lows?
Most of my low energy days were during chemo.
Okay.
And now not so much. I mean, I have regular frustrations and everything, but I've been self-employed for 20 years, like every day like that. It's been like that forever. So
Right.
it's for me, it's normal. Like this is my normal level of function. But yeah, I turn off every now and then. I miss my little life. I used to go on vacation. In the speech I gave at the ball, I said, picture it, in 2022, throwing like the best birthday party. People from all over flew in for my party on this mega yacht in Fort Lauderdale. Then a few months later, walking topless on the beaches of Ibiza. And now you're here. Totally different life.
Right.
The first Zoom support group I did, it was led by Pastor Shelley and Pastor Joel, and it was talking about re-engaging with this new person because you literally have to have a funeral for your old self. This is anybody that's gone through breast cancer, for the most part. People who have gone through like a double mastectomy, any type of chemo, and any of the real traumatic portions of breast cancer, you don't know who you are yet. It's a whole, hey girl, hey, hi. You do. You don't know you.
Right.
And you also learn how strong you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, you really do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, and it's personal, and if you don't want to answer, I completely understand. Did you opt for surgical implants after your mastectomy?
Yeah, but I don't like them yet. So
Okay.
in the process of reconstruction, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you have a double mastectomy, you have three options. You can remain flat.
Mm-hmm.
You can have expanders put in. Expanders are like space holders for your boobs.
Right.
During your treatment process here, they filled my expanders up every 3 weeks. They would put more fluid in them until we got to the size that I wanted to hold.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the option of doing a flap surgery where they take out your stomach and they put it in your chest.
Okay.
I didn't have a stomach and I had lost a lot of weight during the process. So I had expanders that were later swapped out for implants.
Okay.
With the implants, they're still working on the shaping and the molding of your breast because when you have a mastectomy, if you can imagine an ice cream scooper, they are taking out everything from your breast.
The muscle
Anything
and all of that.
add breast cancer in it. Breast cancer is cellular, so we have to remove all of the flesh. When we get all the flesh out, now you're just skin. So the expanders help your skin stay stretched to the size that you want so that when you get the implants, they look natural.
Okay.
Then also the next step for me, I'm still getting lipo. So they'll do lipo from my stomach into my chest so that I can start developing my cleavage line.
Okay.
Also to fill in my port marker. This is where my port was.
Gotcha.
Whew, that's a handful.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Now,
If I could just say one more thing.
oh, absolutely.
Meet breast cancer people, never assume that it stops at the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Never assume that it stops at the ringing of the bell. Most of us are going to be in continued treatment, especially Black women, for the next 5 to 10 years. One of the things that makes me cringe is when a doctor may tell a breast cancer patient, oh, you got the kind that's not going to do this. Don't tell us that. We Black. Our prognosis is different across the board.
Yep. That is so true.
One other thing. This is for more or less the people who will be listening. Were there any unexpected challenges that you faced during the treatment that you wish was talked about more?
Yeah, well, so in my mind, everything was little. Okay, I got a little breast cancer. I'm gonna have a little lumpectomy. Oh, I'm gonna have a little mastectomy. Oh, I'm not gonna have my implants with. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do a little chemo. Okay, I got this. Now I'm dying on the floor. I'm a little bit die on the floor. I'm gonna get back up. I gotta do a little bit more chemo. I don't want to, like everything in the process because of the way they're saying it to you in your mind. You're like, okay, check back. It's not like that though. Everything creates its own setback financially, especially. I couldn't work. I didn't work in over a year. So I exhausted all of my savings and resources between living and the nonprofit that I started, trying to make sure that other women were okay. Everything is, nothing about it is small. All of it comes with unexpected things. Like I never would have thought I would have had a kidney problem.
Right.
One of my continued chemo, because of what it does to your bones, and then your continued medicine, if you are estrogen positive, automatically places you in menopause.
Yep.
Being in menopause plus the chemo bones, increases your chances of developing osteoporosis. Right now at 42, I'm in osteopenia. I have to take calcium pills every day and do strength bearing exercises. If not, I'll be in full blown osteoporosis, way before my time.
So
Digestive
can I ask your
issues.
age?
I'm 42.
42. Okay.
Digestive issues. People, the trauma that comes with chemo. So sometimes the food that you eat during chemo, you can't eat after. I can't spray any of the perfumes I wore to chemo. All of it.
Wow.
Yeah. It is traumatic all the way around, your body, your mind, your spirit, all the way around.
And then those who are not connected some sort of way, who haven't gone through, or seen the journey, or in that, really can't understand what's really going on.
Right.
So, they may be a little bit more insensitive to that entire journey.
I don't think they're insensitive. I just think that they don't have the knowledge.
The knowledge, okay.
Yeah.
People are just ignorant. But that's part of the reason the page exists, so that you can see what keeps happening. Like, they really don't. I didn't know. I would have never known all of this was going on after the person rang the bell. I thought you rang the bell and you go.
You done.
No, that's not.
Wow. So that's basically is a lifelong journey.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Now this is kind of. Do you think now, at this point in time, right now, do you think there's going to be a cure for breast cancer in your lifetime?
No, I don't think so either.
Because of the science or because of corporate greed?
What I tell people is, let's say that Dr. Sebi had the answer, or anybody, any medicine man had the answer. I think that it would have worked for an organic cancer. Our cancer is not organic enough for it to be solved like that. It just isn't. What, for me, in my opinion, especially with the COVID shot, let's say that it came from the COVID shot. The COVID shot was so inorganic that whatever normal sciences they had to cure it, I don't even know that it would work on this specific cancer type, if that's where my cancer came from. Okay. That's my concern. So if my cancer came from just being out in the sun and I had some type of deficiency and the cancer formed and I could cure it organically, I'm with that. But if someone injected something into me, no, I don't think that they could solve that while I'm alive. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think sickness is an industry. And I think that they would delay it. And that's horrible to say. I think that they would delay a cure, because then what you're going to do with all these people who work in the oncology office?
So more money in the treatment.
Yes, I think it's it's money in being sick.
Well, in history has shown that's been the case a lot of times, because I remember this was in a ethics class. So as a CEO, are you ethically bound to your shareholders or the public?
Right.
In your position. So if you have an ethical responsibility to your shareholders to make more money, then you would probably focus on giving treatment, putting products out there to treat these things instead of doing a cure. Because once the cure is done, the money's not coming in.
Right.
So
yeah. That's just with everything in general. I don't think it's just, breast cancer or cancer in general. I think that's, everything. Sure, I can tell you just briefly off the subject. Found out I was pre-diabetic. I went to the doctors. I'm just like, listen, I don't want to take any medication. What are my options? And she kind of looked at me like I had two heads. And I was just like, there has to be some options.
Or you want to take this pill.
Right. Wow. And that was the answer. That was her answer. You're going to take this pill. And I'm like, no, I believe that there's something else that I can do. Now, if I do all those things and I still have to take the medication, at least I know I did all those things. Right. But, I think we've gotten into a position where a lot of our physicians don't even think about what the alternatives are. It's automatically, let me write you this prescription and bam, that's it.
Well, I guess once they take the money out of the equation, maybe things will speed up a bit.
Maybe.
So, before we go, can you give us those the website address?
Yeah, your blog, all the info.
Yeah.
Most of our content is posted on Instagram at Tata Tuesdays, TATA Tuesdays. Our websites are tatatuesdays.com and breastfriendsunite.com. And the name of the game that I invented is Boobs and Bingo. And actually, I'm hosting the fashion show next Saturday at Madame Mall. And
Oh,
we'll be playing
Oh,
a round of Boobs and Bingo there, and it'll be on sale.
great.
outstanding.
So we can find all the information about your events and uh, donations.
BreastFriendsUnite.com.
How do we make donations, or how do our listeners make donations, or what can we do as a community to support this?
Donations are always welcome. You can make a donation through TataTuesdays.com.
Okay.
It'll say donate here and
Okay.
it'll take you to Givelify. Never hesitate to donate to a Black nonprofit.
Absolutely.
The big ones ain't giving us nothing. My girls that need help, when I send cars for them to get to doctor's appointments, meals because they haven't eaten, and or just cash assistance because no matter, I have a girl that's stage 4, has had her gallbladder removed, is in full adrenal failure, and they are questioning whether or not she's qualified for disability.
Wow.
Uh,
What this does to us financially is so severe.
yeah.
And so I don't walk with Coleman or making strides, none of that bullshit no more, because they help us. And we represent every good business pivots. You know what I mean? Like you have to pivot. So as the credit queen, I was credit queen from '08 to 2000 and whatever year we're in. But from that, I created a nonprofit to help Black people buy houses. That's my pivot.
Okay.
I write children's books and I tour and I teach people how money and credit works. Those are pivots. Komen and the American Cancer Association haven't really pivoted. Their spiel is research, research, research. That's great. What I've seen them do is create their own research and then pay themselves for the research.
Okay.
We need support. I am Tata Tuesdays. Shay Sharp, who I'm sure you're familiar with, or maybe not, but Shay Sharp is one of the youngest Black women that ever started a breast cancer nonprofit in Baltimore. She needs support. She primarily deals with metastatic women who are going to transition and trying to make their family's last dream come true. So if they want to go to Disney World, her organization is sending them as a family to Disney World. That person is probably going to transition in 12 months or less.
Okay.
Me, I'm here for the living. Let's go. We're going to have parties. I want to support you. We have Breast Friends brunches, Breast Friends balls. We paint the town pink. We do all types of things. Never hesitate. This is for everybody. Find a Black nonprofit. Find a Black breast cancer nonprofit that you know that's doing the work, because the big ones are not doing any profit sharing. We get nothing. But the ones that are in the grass with the roots doing all the work, yeah, we need the help.
Okay.
Okay.
More funds for support
Yes.
versus everything going to
To
research.
research. Right.
Yeah, because I mean that big research. So Dr. Ricky Fairley spoke at my event. She's touched breast cancer organization. She's in charge of clinical trials for Black women. And she spends her days trying to find women to participate in clinical trials because they don't ask us if we want to do it. The assumption is that we don't. So when down here, nobody asked me for my tissue. I'd have gave it to them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's Black breast cancer organizations that are on this planet for a reason. I wrote an article for a company called Tiger Lily. It'll be out next week about now being infertile as a result of my breast cancer treatment. But it's another one that's doing the work. A lot of us want to do the work. We don't have the resources, or we've exhausted our personal resources.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing. I had no idea some of these things existed, and I'm on board now. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Well, your appearance here was very informative,
Absolutely.
heartwarming. And like I said, a lot of people have been. I've lost friends to breast cancer also, which is, I shouldn't have mentioned that.
Wow.
Because I'm starting.
Now you're gonna be upset. Oh, you poor baby. It's all good. It is all
All you do
good.
is cry. When you see your breast friend, give her a tissue, a hug, and a fan, honey.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
hot and emotional all the time.
All
It's
the
okay.
time. You are not lying. Oh my gosh, you speak the truth.
All right, so
You poor thing. You want me to take over?
yeah, you
Poor
did.
thing.
So before we go, we have a word of the day.
Oh,
Tatas.
Tata. Oh yeah, you like that, don't you?
Yes, I'm a fan of the tatas. So yeah,
he is special.
so for those viewers, our word of the day is tatas, and at the end of the month, if you collect all the words of the day, you'll win a free. I'm gonna tell them what they're gonna do. They're gonna have something free from Pizza City.
Okay.
So we'll go out there and treat to some pizza.
My granddaughter is obsessed with them now. Every time
Really?
she comes to visit, that's her first stop. She wants
Okay.
to go there. Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us. You can check us out at www.hottopics. That's TOPIX podcast.com. And if you have a comment, we have a forum on the website. You can put your comments in there. We're going to get your information and post it in there as well for people who wants to donate to your organization
Or join and ask
Or join.
questions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
and what else we had.
Our Wine and Pasta Social is
Oh
coming.
yes, and we have a wine and pasta social coming up in November the 5th, I believe. It's on the website under under events. So come on in there, get some wine and 3 entrees of pasta, and just have some fun.
Yes.
So
Thank you again so much. Thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, family, for listening to the latest episode of Hot Topics. As usual, listen, like, share, subscribe. Ta.
I represent, this is what I do.